Good morning, class 12. So today we will be discussing the mutual inductance of two concentric coils. Okay, so what does this mean? That in our previous class, that is in the 14th class, today we are taking the 15th class. So in the 14th class, we have discussed about the mutual inductance of two solenoids. Solenoids are generally in the form of helical coil. But if we will consider two concentric coils, how it will look? Suppose here we have one coil of n number of turns. In which of radius, suppose R2, the outer coil, and the inner coil, let that be of radius of R1. So suppose n1 number of turns. Then if we will allow I2 current to flow through the C2 coil of radius R2 and let the inner coil is of radius, which is of radius R1, that be the C1 coil, then the magnetic field produced due to the flow of I2 current in the C2 coil can be written as that can be written as, if we write with B equals to mu 0 by 4 pi 2 pi I2 by R2. So the magnetic field produced in the C2 coil due to I2 current can be written as B2 equals to mu 0 by 4 pi 2 pi I2 by R2. Now, as because the C1 coil is inside C2 coil, so the magnetic field in the C2 coil can be considered as uniform, as because its radius is smaller than C2. So, the magnetic flux, hence the magnetic flux linked with C1 coil can be written as therefore, the magnetic flux linked with C1 due to B2 is, let us write as phi 1 2. That means magnetic flux in coil 1 due to 2 is equals to B2 into pi R1 square. That is the area of the C1 coil, and thus it becomes, this B becomes, if I replace mu 0 by 4 pi, this can be written as mu naught I2 by 2r2. So mu naught I2 by 2r2 into pi r1 square. So this is the magnetic flux, and this magnetic flux can also be defined as phi 1 2 equals to the mutual inductance M into I2, the current flowing through the conductor. So this can be written as, this is equals to Mi2. Now from this, what we will get? Therefore, the coefficient of mutual inductance between the two concentric coil can be written as, therefore M equals to mu naught pi r1 square by 2r2. So this is the required relation of the mutual coefficient of mutual inductance of two concentric coils of radius r1 and r2, as because we have passed current to the through the second coil, so that's why we are getting the r2 in the denominator. So here the conceptual part of this chapter ends. Now we will apply this concept in the, while talking about the alternating current generator, what you have learnt in your previous, in class 10. So you have developed the concept of the working, how the AC generator works. But here I would like to mention one thing: the term generator is not the appropriate term, as because we all know that we cannot create any energy. Energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. So here the electrical energy is also a kind of energy. So using the term AC generator is not so appropriate, because here the machine what we use, that actually converts the mechanical energy to the electrical energy. It does not generates any energy. But from our old time we are using the term AC generator. But you must keep this thing in your mind that the word generator is misnomer. Okay. So now I will take 1 or 2 minutes from you, so that I can draw all the required figures which are very much necessary while explanation. So please excuse me. So as you can see that this is the schematic diagram of an AC generator, and this AC generator actually here you can see that it is the armature is kept between north and south poles, so the magnetic field will flow from from left to right direction, as I have shown you. So as I was telling you, the generator term is not appropriate. So here I would like to tell you that when the armature will be rotated, because of that the current will generate. It is based on the principle of electromagnetic induction, which is based on the Fleming's right hand rule, and it works on the Fleming's right hand rule. So if you will be asked that what is the working principle of AC generator, you will be writing that it works on the principle of electromagnetic induction based on Fleming's right hand rule. So this is what you have learned in class 10. So as when we are rotating the armature, so here I have shown you these are the different positions of the armature. Suppose at the beginning the armature is like this. So here it is our A, B, C and D. So the armature at the first position, let it be in a vertical condition. So then it is rotating in which direction? So it is rotating like anti-clockwise direction. So at first the armature is like this, vertically to the magnetic field. So when the armature is vertical to the magnetic field, actually what happens? When the armature is vertical to the magnetic field, then the direction of the magnetic field is in the same direction of the area of cross section. So here it is the direction of magnetic field, and in the first case this is the of the magnetic field. So this is what plays an important role in the Now, as I was telling you, when we will be rotating the armature, what is actually happening? When we will be rotating the armature, then as we have learned in class 10 that when it is in this position, it will induce current because of the magnetic field. Let us apply the Fleming's right hand rule. So this is the magnetic field direction. We are rotating it. So when we will be rotating it in this direction, that is in the upward direction, when we will bring it. So this is the magnetic field direction. Now we are. So this is coming upward. So this is the direction of the motion. We are bringing it up. So when we will bring it up, then the current will inflow. So when it is in up direction, the current will inflow. So when the current is flowing in, so it will come out like this. Suppose the current is flowing in this direction, then inside the armature it will flow from DCBA, but from outside, once it will flow in this direction, like for the first cycle it is flowing in this direction, but in the next half what is happening here, we are using the slip rings in place of the split rings. So the position will change. So in the next half cycle, this will connect to this side and this will connect to this side. So what does what it will imply when this will connect to this side? Then the current will be flowing. So inside the current will remain same, but outside the current will be flowing from the outward direction. That means in the next half cycle, this will be the position A, B, C, D. So now from the CD the current will come out. Now from CD the current will come out and it will look like this. In the next half cycle, it is going to look like this. As because it is a whole ring, so no disconnection is taking place. And now the current will be flowing out from this. So in the next half cycle, the current will be flowing from this direction. So once previously it was flowing in this direction, and the next half cycle it is flowing in just in the opposite direction. So here you have learned this thing in class 10 that the flow of current in the internal circuit, that means through the armature, it always remains same, but through the external circuit it changes in its direction for every half cycle. So that is actually, it has been shown here that when it is in the perpendicular direction, then B is along the same direction of the cross section area. But here it is in perpendicular direction. So with the help of the mathematics, I will be able to show you that when A and B will be at its max, so we will be getting the maximum amplitude of current here. When they will be in the same direction, that means when the theta will be 0, then we are going to have 0 current. So we are getting at when the theta is 0, this can be the theta equals to omega t actually here. So this is at t equals to 0, theta is 0. This is at pi by 2 condition. That means I have, according to this figure, this is the pi by 2 condition between the angle between B and A. So this is 3 pi by 2 and it is the, sorry, this is pi. This is 3 pi by 2 and this is 2 pi. Okay. So for this, we are getting, once we are getting maximum current at pi by 2 and another time we are getting the maximum current in the opposite direction. The maximum current in the opposite direction, that is 3 pi by 2. When theta equals to 3 pi by 2. So let us take a very short mathematical calculation. What we know? Phi equals to BA. Now EMF E equals to minus d phi dt. So here this is actually, there are n number of turns, so we will be writing n, then here it will be b dot a. So n b a cos theta, and this theta, as I was telling you, this theta is equals to omega t if we are rotating the armature with an angular velocity of omega. So now let us do this. So this is give us, so we are taking the magnitude only. So this will give us n e a sin theta. Or if you are not even taking the magnitude, we can consider the negative sign. No issue. So minus sin theta minus and n b a sin theta. So now when theta equals to 0, then the value of e equals to 0 because sin 0 0. When theta equals to pi by 2, e equals to max. When theta equals to minus or theta equals to pi, e equals to 0. And when theta equals to minus 3 pi by 2, then it is becoming minus maximum value, and again when it will come to 2 pi, that means the 0 position, then it will give us the 0 value which has been shown with the help of the graph. So this is what actually the best on this electromagnetic induction, the AC generator works. So here the one thing you have to keep it in your mind, that the maximum value of the current you will be getting when the armature is along, it's lying in the same direction of the magnetic field. That means its direction of cross section area, when it is perpendicular to the direction of the magnetic field, then you will be getting, that means in the horizontal position. When the magnetic field is in the horizontal position, you will be getting the maximum current, and when it is in the vertical position, you will be getting the 0 current, and in between that you will be getting the in between values of the current, and hence you will get this AC curve. Okay. So in our next class, I will be talking about the DC generator or the dynamo. Along with that, I will be solving 1 or 2 problems of this chapter. We will see some problems of this chapter, and with that we will be completing this one and move on to the next chapter, that is the AC or the alternating current. Okay. Till then, you just go and refresh your concept of the AC generator, what you have learnt in class 10, what we have recapitulated with the help of the figure, and here in class 12 actually you have learnt the why we are getting this AC curve, what is the mathematical derivation or mathematical logic behind getting this AC curve for the AC generator. Okay. Till then, take care. Bye.